Here at Show Me, we provide homes for kids that are in crisis and families in crisis. Many kids, many families end up in positions they never dreamed they'd be in, positions that they don't want to be in, and they have very difficult choices to make. And they oftentimes need help with their kids, and maybe sometimes temporary, and sometimes more permanent, where they need someone to step in and provide a home for their children. And that's what we do. We want to be an extension of the church in doing what the church is supposed to do. Jesus said that true religion was to take care of widows and orphans. And many of our kids, we do have some that are orphans, but many are orphans in a sense that they don't have a home. They don't have a functional home, or they're in a home in crisis, and they need someone to step in and provide for them. And that's what we want to do at Show Me, is we want to provide a home in a place where kids can come and be safe, and they can be raised in a godly home where people who love Christ and want to share that with them. One of the things that we found at Show Me Christian Youth Home was we found that when our kids were getting out there into the world and they were leaving Show Me in this protected place where they had a Christian environment around them, that it was difficult for them to get into the real world and deal with opposing worldviews, whether they were anti-Christian or just worldviews of just secular values where there was really no morality. And our kids were struggling to get out there and make a difference and even just hold on to their own values. So we wanted to develop a class, and really more than that, a program to really not just teach them leadership principles, but get them to put them into practice. And that's really the strength of Leadership U, is that we're not just teaching leadership and saying, hey, this is how you lead, and writing things on a chalkboard or a dry erase board and saying, these are the principles of leadership. We're giving them the principles and saying, now you have to apply it. And they get the opportunity to do that with our animals, and primarily our horses. Sometimes people don't really understand that horses are very social animals. And when you begin to interact with a horse, you begin a social interaction that, for it to go well, needs to end with the rider or the human being being the leader. And that the horse has to see that even that child as a leader. They have to recognize that this person is in charge, and I'm going to submit to them. And when we enter that relationship, I always tell anybody that gets on a horse, the moment you start interacting with that horse, you are teaching them something about you. What kind of leader are you going to be? And horses really, the more kids that have been on them, the more people they've been around, they ask questions with their behavior. And so we're trying to teach our kids, we're trying to give them basic leadership skills, so when the horse asks the question with its attitude and with its actions, they will have the right answer.
The horses help the young people build confidence. Confidence in their own abilities. And when they see, I've seen a number of young people, they first approach this huge animal completely intimidated. As Nathan coaches them in approaching the animal and forming a bond with the animal, eventually touching the animal, riding the animal, and then ultimately controlling the animal, then our young people can see how some challenge that is completely overwhelming to them can be broken down in steps and can be conquered. And that aspect, that ability to see a challenge, an overwhelming challenge, and instead of turning the other direction, fleeing from the opportunity, they can embrace the opportunity. They know that they can build the confidence and conquer those problems.
It's hard to teach leadership with kids because it's difficult for them to lead other kids sometimes. But putting them on the horse and putting them in that situation with the horse gives them that opportunity to put what they're learning into practice with an animal. And if they make a mistake, and these are repairable relationships, and they can learn how it's important not to let your frustration turn into anger, and not to act out of that anger, because that's not going to be helpful to you. And one of the things that kind of our saying that we're trying to build into these kids, kind of encapsulates our program, is that we're learning to lead like Jesus. Jesus was such a great leader. He always knew what to do. And so many times in my own life, I just wish that I could lead just like him. that I wouldn't fail, and I wouldn't make mistakes, and I wouldn't look back and say, gosh, I wish I'd done that different. I just recognizing Jesus, he didn't ever have that problem. That he did things right. And I want to model my life and my teaching after Jesus. And so that's what we're trying to do with these kids, is teaching them to lead like Jesus, to serve like Jesus, to be confident like Jesus, to know what they believe like Jesus, and to be wise in their interactions with people like Jesus. So that's what we want to do in Leadership U.